I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Mr. Claiborne, I found your testimony about the role that LNG export facilities can play in helping to address domestic infrastructure limitations and how this is related to LNG innovation particularly interesting. Because in Washington State, there is a growing interest in LNG-powered vessels, and there is a great potential for growth, we think, in this industry. Could you explain, please, in more detail how the lack of liquefaction facilities is hindering the ability of the United States to develop and deploy LNG-powered vehicles and vessels that can be used in many different areas? And then secondly, how will growing U.S. exports of LNG help to address these domestic infrastructure limitations?
Yes. Thank you, Representative Reichert. So first, as to the question of the supply constraints in the United States on liquefied natural gas, which is simply natural gas taken to its liquid form, we have a lot of natural gas available in the United States, but we do not have a lot of liquefied natural gas available in the United States. There is a lack of infrastructure to take this clean-burning, abundant, domestic resource and use it in a variety of applications domestically, which can help environmentally, first because natural gas gives off far less pollutants, including CO2, than other sources like diesel. But further, just in terms of energy security, tapping into our natural gas resources for transportation purposes is very positive. So today, a lot of people are waiting to see whether the commitment is there in industry and among investors to make the plays to build the infrastructure, and this is slowing down the build-out of the necessary infrastructure, plants that would liquefy natural gas for use domestically. We see it moving forward in some locations. For example, my company is participating today in liquefaction plants in Colorado and in the Eagle Ford Shale in Texas for domestic applications. A lot of this is actually powering drill rigs for shale gas so that they're using cleaner burning domestic natural gas for their fuel uses instead of burning diesel, for example. But there's the lack of supply of the LNG is in fact slowing down the ability to use LNG for transportation, whether it's locomotives or vessels that ocean-going vessels or water vessels, or even trucks, high fuel consuming vehicles, for which the only real solution, if they're going to use natural gas, is liquefied natural gas. So, yes, there is a limitation. And the second part of your question, Representative Reichert, was how could export terminals help this domestic need? And I think the answer to that is twofold. The export terminals really are destined primarily for export. Prices for LNG generally are higher outside the United States than they are inside the United States. But we believe that market forces over time are going to lead to, if you look at the studies, the international prices are projected to come down over time as more production comes on scale. But when the infrastructure exists, this is infrastructure on our continent, which is plugged right in here to the local gas supply that can easily be used to provide local needs as well. In fact, we see this in at least one terminal where there's suggestion about taking part of the offtake and using it for workboats in the Gulf of Mexico. But beyond that, this environment of investment that I talked about is really important. Investors are fickle people. This is privately funded infrastructure. When they see a commitment to LNG going forward, it helps them make more confidence to put in place their infrastructure for domestic plays as well. And we think there's going to be a positive follow-on effect for that, which will give us more of this LNG resource for high fuel-consuming vehicles right here in the United States.
I appreciate that. Just real quickly, follow up with a more general trade question. I think the answer is obvious, but let's hear it. About your company, I noticed in your testimony 44% of your products manufactured in the United States are exported to other countries. How important is an aggressive trade liberalization agenda to your company and to your plans for expansion in the United States?
It's highly important. Some of that is LNG products or equipment for LNG that we're exporting to places like China. China is one of our biggest markets for buying U.S. LNG equipment because they get it in China. They're using their local resources to liquefy their natural gas, and use it to reduce the pollution in their country. But we also manufacture a lot of other equipment for other markets. For example, we manufacture medical oxygen equipment. And if there's a normalization or a reduction in trade barriers going into Europe, it's a huge market for our U.S. manufactured medical oxygen equipment. So it's highly important to us and other U.S.-based manufacturers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.